Look at this. Look how beautiful this apple is. It's just so perfect. It makes me feel like Eve. And I've got this like chanting thing that I've been wanting to do, you know? Like I just want to sing to the apple. Is that something that you think Eve did, you know? Did she sing to her apples? You know, like we talk to our plants? If I could save time in a bottle, the first thing that I'd like to do is to save every day till eternity passes away, to spend it with you. I was just ranting about this apple. Missy's toenails are so long. And how beautiful it was. And I sang to it, and then I realized I need to come in the kitchen because it's winter, and even though here that doesn't mean a lot, it doesn't hold a lot of weight here. But I think right now it's about like 40 degrees, you know, Fahrenheit. And I think that because of how perfect this apple is, I think that it would be like I could eat it. Okay, I did take a bite out of it, but I'm not gonna show that. To cut it and do some magic with it and then give it to the birds as an offering for the winter. So I'm gonna do that. Who else does this? Like, I don't have a like cauldron for my sage sticks, so I put it in a bell jar when it's long, when it's big. When it's massive, I put it in the bell jar. So I light it. Now the problem with me making these is that sometimes I make them like too tight and they don't light like I want them to. Like, that's the string. It's not the leaves. Do it over my bowl. But it's like, where do you, like, once you light this, okay. Boobs on fire. Let's do it of the seat. See, once it's lit, okay. This is actually sage and salvia. Shit, I might start hallucinating in a minute. Because the salvia I have in my garden is a semi-hallucinogen. Even though I don't smoke it, I refuse. Oof. Anyway, so once it's lit, I set it in the bell jar and then just. But what do you do with them? Once they're lit and they're long, what do you set it in? I don't know. So, let's get my ashes out of the way. Now what I think I want to do is cut this to where we can see the star. Handy dandy equipment here. This is lovely witch equipment, right? So I'm gonna chop it. Lovely. And where I bit, I will keep that and eat it. But then, isn't this the most magical thing? This reminds me of the Dark Wood Tarot, which is a deck that I don't have. I love the concept of that deck. Okay, I'm just gonna say. And I love Abigail Lawson's artwork. I do. There's something about it just makes me feel witchy. And I'll tell you the most ridiculous reason that I will not buy that deck is because the backs of it has the words or the letters DW. Come on. No. No. I'm not buying it with those letters on it. It looks silly. It's like, it just says like have the backs, don't have DW on them. Another exemplary tool. Birthday candles. I always have these, okay, because I have kitties, and I make their cakes, so this is always something that's in the drawer over there. But what I want to do is I want to like cut out a tiny piece inside this star. If you don't want to, you don't have to use like this big ass knife, but just a little bitty tiny, you know, thing, so that the candle can go in, because that core there is pretty tough, and you just, like, it's a cupcake, an apple cupcake. And then I was gonna put the camera down. You don't have to. Just like this bitch. And then you can say a few words over it. I usually like put my hands like dome over it. The sage. Take this some of the smoke. Sage cleans myself. And get my heart right. Okay, I said what I wanted to say. Did the apple, okay? And then all you have to do is blow it out, okay? Because that doesn't bother me, to like candles and stuff like that. When you want to do things with candles and you have to snuff them or whatever, like none of that means a thing to me. I do what I want. And then here's the apple that used to hold the candle, okay? It has been blessed by me. I'm going to give it to the birds of offering. Now, I may just put this out, like on my back deck, have the birds go at it. I may put some peanut butter with some birdseed on it. Sometimes in the winter, I'll keep a small bag of birdseed, even though the last time I did that, okay, I had a bag of birdseed that I bought, and I had like a small, like a hole this big, like here's the top of the bag, and I had like a hole that I slit here to pour it out into the feeders, and a bird, one of them small birds, like a finch, it made a nest in that whole bag. Like, it made a nest in the bag. It made its like little pine straw nest inside the bag. And I was like, now that's being innovative. You just made a nest inside your food source. Like, but I do have this organic stuff right here. Let me get it. Oh my goodness, if y'all could see all this food that I have over here. Oh, Lord. Okay. And I have this organic thing of nuts, because that's like my favorite snack. Like raisins, cranberries, and nuts. Like that's my thing. And it's like almonds and pecans and walnuts and papita seeds, which are these like green seeds, and they're all organic, so I don't have to worry about them having any kind of weird thing on them. Okay, still have to be careful, I think, but I just take this knife and chop them up. Not that the apple isn't enough, because I think the apple is enough. I just wanted to give a little bit extra, dress up the offering a little bit more, I guess. And I'll just use this and chop it up. Are these roasted? No, good. Birds don't like nuts if they're roasted. We like nuts if they're roasted. But birds don't really like nuts that are roasted, because you can't roast them out in the forest, you know? Like, they're all like, what is this? The scent is different, right? You have to adhere to what they like. What I like to use for the birds is what I use for my kitties, one of my kids has a condition, and I can't allow him to use anything but natural peanut butter. So, and it's really like liquidy because it's natural. Again, same knife, okay? There's no sense in washing dishes unless you absolutely have to. I just dip it in, okay? Watery peanut butter, and then slather it on top. Small layer. Just enough to call the birds. It's like a siren song to them, you know? Put this in the sink. Put the nuts on top. Isn't that beautiful? Oops, some of them fell on the floor. Now, whatever's left, I'll just sprinkle on either side of it, but isn't that beautiful? It's so pretty. We shall see. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little spell, this little offering spell. It's more an offering than a spell, even though I did put some words of power into it. I wanted to show you guys that after I painted my living room, which I've been living in a white box, you guys, and it was slowly killing something in my soul, okay? And so I had to paint the house, and I painted it this like gray purple, which is it's a thing. It's called a cave color, which means that when you paint it in the daytime, it's like light and airy and blah, 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 blah. And then at night, it darkens and it makes you feel like you're in a cave, and it fucking works. But anyways, I tacked up. Did that just turn on? Or did it just start lighting up in the phone? But anyways, I put up like shepherd's hooks, which are like hooks that look like this, okay, all over the ceiling. And I put this long, there's my witchy table. I put up this long strand of Christmas lights all the way around my room. I love them. Let's see if we can turn the camera. And I want to show you, they're like bejeweled. Isn't that the beautifulest, most magicalest thing? It's so beautiful. I just love them so much. Anyway, here's my TV. Okay, now I know the angle is so bad with this video, but it's a vlog, so we're going to go with it. I wanted to share an oil that I'm going to be making. It actually goes with, a few days ago, I was like messing with an apple. I gave it as an offering, and I realized that I wanted like this kind of oil that would act like a perfume, but more like Eden. So it goes on the Eve archetype, and I did call it Eden, but there was an existing Eden oil in here that I had made that had other stuff in it, so I had like washed it out, and I put the new date on there, and anyway, put what was going to be in there. So I'm going to put some patchouli, some rose, and some jasmine in there, and we'll see how it goes. Now, the oil that I use for, like, I guess my witchy oils is grapeseed, but you can use almond oil. You could use olive oil. Now, I will say that I use, there you go. It's like a green. I can't always get my hands on almond oil just because of like the price. The price is just killer with almond oil. Okay, so it's rose, jasmine, and patchouli. Yeah, here we go. Now, what you have to do is I look up a little tip that I don't even know if it's really a tip. I look up like diffuser blends, and that way I know what works well with each thing. And like, say this is a 2 milliliter bottle, so I could potentially put 2 milliliters of liquid in here. Then there's a conversion way that you have to like, because whatever the diffuser blend is for the oils, there's a way that you like calculate it to see how many drops of each need to go in 2 millimeters or 10 millimeters or whatever. And so I've been doing that conversion for a while, and I really hope that conversion works. So we're just gonna try it. And then I count it out. Okay, there's the one. Put that down. And then the next one. Some of these come out faster than others. You have to really be careful about that, because then the formula is all off. I've learned over the years that if it's like one off, it messes up the entire formula and it doesn't smell like it's supposed to. What is happening with this jasmine? See, sometimes you have to do it the way it wants to come out, or it's just not going to work. So, okay. Put this back. Now, I don't only put essential oils in my oils. Sometimes I will put the actual herb in there. Like if I know that this is going to last through the winter or something where my herbs are going to be dormant, then I may have some dried herbs. It has to be dried, fully dried, to go in these oils, or it's going to just mildew and be bad. But if I have some herbs, like for instance, I've got some Ziplocs here. Let's move this out of the way. I've got this is fully dried pineapple sage. Forgive this. My niece has gifted me with a frozen Ziplocs. This is some thyme that I've gotten in the garden, and I mark it, right? I completely let it dry the way I just leave them on my counter or hang them up upside down. But when they're fully dry, and I mean to let my herbs dry from a garden, especially if it's in the active season for them, where they're getting watered all the time and they're in active growth, that means the plant itself is going to be has more water content in it than, say, in the winter months. If I were to go out there now, when they're bitter and they've gone dormant, they're not going to have a lot of water content, so it may take less time for them to dry. But generally, I like to let them sit upside down in a bundle for 3 weeks. And not tightly packed. They have to be loosely packed so that they all get dry the right way. But say I've got some dried herbs like this. I've got pineapple sage, which is really good in tea and just by itself. I've got some yarrow here. Now, I use yarrow root in a lot of spells, but the leaves, which I don't really use for anything but these types of oils. I've got that. I've got some salvia. This salvia particularly isn't necessarily the hallucinogen salvia. It's a blend of, it is an Artemisias plant. So I guess at its base level, it would be considered a hallucinogen. Like if I were to I guess smoke it, I don't know. But I try to be careful with these types of plants. So even dried, this could have some kind of substance quality to it that I'll only use a little. And then I've got this, which is my fennel. And the fennel seeds are what I use. I'll use the leaves because the leaves are beautiful on fennel. They're like carrots. But I like to leave those on the plants for the little caterpillar babies because they love that stuff. But so when the plant starts to go dormant in the autumn and the seeds come out, it's a self-seeding plant. So that means I'm going to have 1,000 of them. Since I let it go to seed, instead of chopping it off, I'll have 1,000 fennel bushes in the damn garden next year. But I use the seeds in spellcraft. So I may have, I don't have any lavender in this bunch because I used it all. But say I've got some. Now I did get a gifted plant of a jasmine. No, that's not how you say that. I got a jasmine plant as a gift. And I'm really hoping that this spring I'll be able to get some actual jasmine flowers off of it. And I love jasmine. I love jasmine so much. And I do have rose petals, but they dried, but they just got, I left them too long and they got dusty. Because, sometimes you're witching and you let stuff go, So they got dusty. And if I wash them when they're already dried, they just tend to fall apart for me. So I haven't been wanting to use them in my oils. So anyway, sometimes I will add herbs and different, different plant materials to this oil. But really you just do it like this. And some people like to let their oils sit for like a week or two just to let the scents marry. But I found that I don't have to. As long as you're being skin safe with it, use a conversion chart. Make sure you're not allergic to any of the oils that you use. It can go on your skin. That's why I use grapeseed. Let me smell this. Oh, it smells so good. Oh, it smells so, oh, it does smell like Eve. Even though, to me, Eve would smell like an apple orchard. But if y'all have ever walked in an apple orchard, it doesn't smell like apples. It smells like rotten apples. Which I guess could go on Eve. But this rose and jasmine and patchouli just smells so... This smells like the dark mother to me. Like it's the mother aspect to me of like my craft. So good. And I'll wear this when I need a boost with that type of an archetype. So there's my Eden oil. And patchouli is a leaf that you can buy. I would like to say that I buy my herbs like that, but I don't. I've never bought herbs from somewhere else. I've always just used whatever I had on hand. But if there was an herb out there that I would buy like for my craft, that I would buy, not plant, it would be patchouli, because that's like one of my favorite witchy scents. So patchouli leaves and rose petals and jasmine flowers would be absolutely epic in this. Plus, it would make the scent, it would make the scent more. I've also found that when you put plant matter into something that you've already put like what I consider the max scent count in, it's hard because, see, the essential oils have a conversion, but when you're using plant matter, you don't know how many jasmine flowers to put in there, You don't know how much patchouli to put in there. And then the scent may like go more in the rose realm instead of what, but you want more patchouli. So it's just like, there's so much tweaking that you do when you make your own oils that I digress. So anyway, there was my little oil. Hope you guys enjoyed that. Of course, as soon as I start filming, a plane wants to go over. Sitting out on the back deck, basking in the sun. And I was reading a little in a book that is kind of old. As we know, a lot of the old texts that are out aren't always relevant in today's age, as the world has turned, the world has changed, and the people in the world have changed. Anyway, I think this came out in 1971. I had a very old edition of this book when I was a baby witch, when I was a young witch, that I had found at the library, and I read through it. I read through a little bit of it, and it did always speak to me. So a couple of years ago I bought it, and I sometimes reference it. Sometimes the spells in here are like, retro witchy, I like to make them my own. But anyways, sometimes I like to reference it for, inspiration. And it's called The Crone's Book of Magical Words by Valerie Worth. This is a lovely book cover now. It didn't look like this when I had it. And the very first thing in here is The Crone's Book of Magical Words with a poem, like the very first page. And I love this. It says, white as an eggshell, white as a bone, white as chalk, or milk or the moon is the written word of the ancient crone, who works by wind, sun, water, and stone. Isn't that inspiring? Now I'm gonna like bibliomancy this. For gathering herbs on midsummer. It's a poem, and I think that you like say the poem. It doesn't actually tell you. This is the conjurer. You're not conjuring anything when you collect herbs. So, But let's see what it says. Go in moonlight, or if it be dark, take a lantern with a white candle. Stand where fern grows under the trees. Listen until the air is still. Then you may speak. Okay, so see, it's written like a poem, but it's instructional, like it's an instructional poem. On Midsummer's Eve, we hasten to weave fern and leaf for every grief, stalk and seed for every need. Soon gather the fern and fern seed, then St. John's wort, mullein, vervain, willow, elder, or what else you seek. I like that little bit at the end. Or whatever else you need. For conjuring with smoke. To me, conjuring is a powerful term in witchcraft because I'm a necromancer. Not in the ancient sense, I guess. But in a lot of ways, yes. I'll show you a little bit of working that I'm working on right now in the winter months of this. If you guys don't know what pitch is sludge, and to me it's man-made. It's something like, it's like sewer water, but it's like compost. Okay, it's like compost. And I use it in my necromancy. I'm going to show you, but it's disgusting looking, so be prepared for that, okay? Click off, and then click back on in a minute or two, okay? Maybe I'll put a timestamp. I'm not good at those, but maybe I'll put a timestamp. I don't want it to spill. Like, a whole bunch of crazy shit, okay? And I use that water, just like we make moon water, and there's like a whole bunch of like that moon light in there. I need the darkness in that. I guess if that makes any sense. But the word conjure is used in this text in a way that's not relevant to me, I guess you could say. Like, for instance, it says, for conjuring with smoke. In an iron vessel burn, mullein dried, St. John's wort fresh. See, I can't even get St. John's wort here, so. Willow old, wild lettuce green, apple dead, red cedar new. This is so beautiful because it's mullein dried, okay? And then it says in an iron vessel. I love the word vessel. I love the use of words in witchcraft. I think that there's such an important thing in my craft is words and how we say things. In an iron vessel burn. Fucking hell. Mullein dried, St. John's wort fresh, willow old. Like, this makes me think of this because there's like bark and there's like old sage and there's tobacco and pine straw and all kinds of stuff. Anyways, while the living smoke ascends, let it wind around your hands and shape it thus. So it's about we're conjuring something out of the smoke, and we're allowing the smoke we're molding it like clay, apparently. Breath and substance risen twice, death and issue double face, phoenix fire burning feather, fly and flower all together. Shit, this is potent. And I can feel the power. I can feel it. Like I said, I like to make up my own spells. And I'm sorry that if you like these types of like spell type books where they're like magical words and they do have power, I'm sorry if you don't like me reading them, but I'm reading it in a context like I'm not doing the spell. So therefore it's not a spell. I'm reading it as a text, and there's a difference. Then the last line is, set it free and watch it rise, discover fate in this disguise. Now to me, conjure specifically means entity, like an entity. I am conjuring up an entity. This entity is something that's real and is going to aid me somehow. Like an animal or a spirit, a servitor, you know, like I have my fire maiden. I'm not going to get into her. I could talk about her for a long time. My fire maiden that I conjure. But anyways, very much there is a lot of smoke involved in conjuring her. But I kind of like that this doesn't tell you what you're conjuring, because it's all on intention, and the magic is. But anyways, let's go to something else. to send away mice and rats. Now see, last summer I did another type of a video that talked about the fact that they're doing, you can probably even hear, they're doing construction near my house, and that caused a lot of the rat babies, or the rats, to come into the residential areas where they're not filming, where they're not building, and they were getting into the homes of my house and the neighbors and wreaking havoc in the summer months, and we all had to do something about it, you know. And this particular spell, the last line, it says to threaten his life and to bring him grief. The rat. There's a difference between having to kill something in the name of safety for your, like, you know, because they carry diseases. Okay, you don't want them in your kitchen and shit. So there's a level of having to kill them, but there's also a humane way in which you do it. And I feel like a spell, that's different. It's you want to cause the rat harm. It's like you don't want to just kill it quickly for your safety, you know. I think that there's necessary, and then there's you're just being a, you know, a fucking witch bitch. You know, like, it's actually harming and you want it to suffer. Okay, and there's a difference in the two, to be honest. Like, to threaten his life and bring him grief, it's like, do you want this rat to suffer? It's doing what a rat does. You don't want it to suffer, you just want to get rid of it quickly, however you can do that. So I don't know, I feel like some of these aren't relevant. These are like, you know, you want to kill the rat, but you don't want to just kill the rat, you want it to suffer from what you put down. But then one of these in the cosmos is to atone for cutting down a tree. So it's like, it's okay, you need to atone for cutting down a tree, but you don't need to atone for literally, like, it's like that scene in Harry Potter where Mad Eye is making that spider thing suffer. You don't need to atone for that, but you need to atone for cutting down a tree. Okay, makes perfect sense. So some of it's not relevant, but chant the ancient words of magic. Okay. Anyway, just wanted to share that I was reading this book. I was trying to get some inspiration. Sometimes it doesn't work out. Sometimes you feel for the rat babies.
A sweet bird. Yes. I hope you like it. I hope you like it, yeah.